Hi, everybody. It's me again, Kim, and this is
Nina.
And we are here for ABCX&Z. And what are we talking about today? Let's see. What have you been up to, Jana?
I have been watching the L Word.
Okay, that's true. Today we're going to talk about the L Word Season 2. But before we do that, I want to know how you're doing. What's going on?
I'm good. I've been doing a lot of tattoos recently. I'm a tattoo artist.
Right.
Starting, and I've been doing a lot.
How
the
did
past few days.
You finished up your course last week, right?
Yeah,
How did that go?
It went okay. I got very nervous, but it was good. I liked the results.
Mm-hmm.
I got really tired though. It's because I spent like the entire day tattooing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. We took a lot of pauses, so that helped me not have a huge back pain.
And how was your client? Was she
was great.
Satisfied?
Yeah, she was very satisfied. I worked with her before. When I worked at Starbucks, I worked with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already done a tattoo on her, but it was very small.
Mm-hmm.
But she was very, very happy about it.
Cool. Well, that's the client. The customer has to be happy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I've been around, like, seeing you doing your thing, and we also had a family celebration, a solstice celebration the other night with all family here and friends. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I also, the gift that I promised to give is going to be a painting. Yeah. So that's like a future gift. And the reason that I made it a future gift is because I let the person who got the gift to choose what they wanted me to paint. Mm-hmm. Did Ana Clara tell you what goddess she chose?
She thought of Lilith.
Yeah, Lilith. I'm so excited. I'm going to be painting Lilith. I can't wait. I love it because when I get an idea, like, of course I have ideas of, things I want to paint and goddesses that I want to paint, but it's cool when somebody else comes up with it because then it gives me an angle that I hadn't thought of before. Yeah. Last year I did the White Buffalo Woman, and that was really cool.
That's very cool.
And
White Buffalo Woman, that's
Native American.
Native American, yeah.
Yeah, so now we're going to do Lilith, and that's going to be awesome because I really would like to have a cool new painting of Lilith. There's lots of images of Lilith on, but I want to do one. So that's good. She chose that because it's going to give me the opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. And since I do women's circles and stuff, it's going to be fun to have a new image to put in the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So let's go. Let's talk a little bit about season 2. First of all, I want to say I was wrong. On the last podcast, I was talking about all the stuff that happened with Ivan was like in the first season, and I really did in my mind mix the seasons.
Oh,
I was just like,
that's true.
I was like, what? No, that happened before. And then you said, no, it happens in season 2. I just watch it. And I just was like, not remembering. So I went back and rewatched the beginning and I saw where I went wrong. And that happens to, mom brain. It happens to like old lady brain.
You're not old.
But, it happens when you watch a lot of stuff and it gets all mixed up.
Yeah.
So, I just want to commend you for your better memory than mine. And just say sorry to people who hadn't watched it. Because I know maybe some of you who are rewatching or are watching for the first time are going to get confused because in the first season, it wasn't. So now we're going to be talking about season 2. And I want to hear from you guys if you agree with what we say. Not agree, but like if you have any comments or questions or, anything you want to say. Mm-hmm. About what we say here, because I'm interested to see what the next generation thinks about the L word. Yeah. It's really kind of cool because it's going into the new generation Q, but it's not, I think it's really interesting to look back at the origin stories because the story in the Gen Q version, there's some of the original characters are there, and you get so much more out of it knowing where they came from and what they went through when they were young.
Right.
And so I love that, and I wanted to give you that chance. So I want to see. I wrote notes, but not the same kind of way that I did for season 1. I just wrote notes of like pairs of people, and let's comment on what we remember that happens with these pairs of people.
Okay.
Okay. First, I would like to hear what you think, Janaina, of the overall tone of season 2 in compared to season 1.
I think there was a lot more conflict in season 2. Like, there was a lot of things to, like, resolve from season 1 and then new conflict. And I feel like it was also... There's a lot more serious stuff than there was in season 1.
Yeah.
It's a lot more, like, heavy stuff.
Yeah, it gets darker
sure.
in some aspects, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of confusion in some parts, and I agree with what you're saying. They get kind of dark. They get deeper into it.
Yes.
I felt like, yeah, I agree with you. I think that we get more into the characters, of course, and then more into, like, the shadow parts of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, what's behind all of the stuff that happened in season 1.
Yes.
And it lets you see more layers of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I wrote down Tina and the lawyer Joyce Wichnia.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's
the first for double people that I wrote here, and I remember seeing when I watched Glee.
Yeah.
For the first time, I remember the coach, the cheerleader was from. I had seen.
You had seen L Word before you watched Glee.
Yeah.
So it was like when you watched Glee, it was like, oh, the lawyer.
I
from
know
L Word.
her. I'm pretty sure I watched it in that order. I don't know.
Well, for me, it was like, oh, it's Sue. Coach Sue Sylvester.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I don't remember which order I watched it in, but I remember, like, identifying with those two. She's a great actress. I really love her character. She's really funny. What did you think of that whole deal with her?
It was...
What happened, first of all, if you can remember?
Well, I remember that Tina hires the lawyer because she's scared that... Because she really depended on Bet while they were dating, but it was never, like, legal.
They weren't dating. They were living together for 8 years.
Yeah, but, like, but they never were, like, legally married because I don't think it was legal yet.
Right.
And so she was scared that Bet was just going to take all her stuff, and also she was pregnant, so she wanted to protect the baby and stuff.
So you saw it from her perspective, and not from Bet's, because Bet got real mad.
Yeah, I understand Bet's perspective, but I feel like I understand Tina's more, because it must be really scary to be with someone for 8 years, and then they just do something that you feel like you can't forgive, but nothing is legal. Nothing is like, oh, we legally shared our money. No, she just depended on Bet for so long. So I understand why she thought she needed a lawyer. But I do also very much understand Bet being upset, because it's like, you're just gonna lawyer up and not care about my feelings. But also I feel like Bet just didn't accept that. I feel like she, I mean, obviously she apologized, but I feel like she made up a lot of excuses for the way she acted, instead of, like, really, like, owning up to it. At least in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, that's kind of what the deal was. She was really defensive. And she didn't realize where she needed to change. And then what I thought was interesting was that this was only recent, not actually... because she stopped working. It was like, we can't remember, like, they kind of paint a picture where, like, that Tina never took care of herself, and she used to be a professional. She was a professional for a while, and then she quit her job so she could have a baby, and which is really weird when women do that. Like, they stop everything because they think they need to stop everything, and then they end up in this situation. I think that was more dramatic, and I don't know, I think that might have changed. But they, like, made it a kind of a thing. Like, I want us to prepare my body for pregnancy and all this kind of stuff. And then, like...
I feel like if she wanted to stop working when she got pregnant, she should have just waited until she got pregnant. Yeah.
But that's kind of... I don't know. I've seen that with people. It's like, no, I think I'm ready to have a baby. I'm going to stop my career. Okay. okay. And so then what? And so then that, but kind of painted the pictures like the thing that they said a lot that it was like a buzzword for the season was like autonomy. I want my autonomy. I want my autonomy. And the thing is like if she was a professional before that, why didn't she have autonomy? I guess in the relationship, she kind of said that like the house was in Bet's name and maybe Bet made a lot more money than her.
Yeah.
But then like, but you know, they put both their names on all the accounts, but nothing's legal like in the way that you would think a marriage would be. So like she got kind of scared and got the lawyer.
And she got defensive.
And so she got.
And she was also angry. I feel like.
Yeah, she was mad because she got cheated on.
A little bit on anger in that case as well.
Yeah, they kind of did that pretty well. I think that's kind of normal. I think that they did it with a lot of sensitivity though, because they showed both the two sides. Because even though Tina was mad, she still was kind of sensitive, and even though Bet was defensive, she was even kind of starting to open up to this possibility that she needs to change.
Yeah.
But then during Tina with Joyce Wichnia, then it was like really weird. They gave Joyce gave Tina a place to stay, and then all of a sudden, what happened?
Yeah, she starts kissing Tina and wanting to sleep with her and everything. And I felt like that was gonna happen from the start. How I guess it's because I don't trust people, but but like when she started being like, "Oh, you can stay in my place" or whatever, I was like,
really?
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, it didn't go right. They had to do something to get her out of there, so they made the lawyer be a little bit, unethical.
Yeah,
but that's how she ends up back in Bet's home, like that's why she goes back. She goes back because she doesn't have a place to stay. She didn't want to be on Alice's couch anymore. Yeah. And then she goes to be back with Bet. Not to necessarily
then she does get a place of her own, doesn't she?
Then after that, she gets a place of her own because they still are like, you know what? I still need my own apartment because why? She needs to. She starts seeing Helena.
Oh right, yeah.
Which is the next cat. The next topic is the Helena situation. Yeah. What did you think of Helena when she appeared?
I kind of liked her when she appeared. I didn't have that much of an issue with her. I did think it was kind of annoying how she just refused to give money to Bet and Bet's company or whatever, and she was like, "Oh, I understand she wanted to give money to children, obviously, obviously, but it was like she's so rich, she can."
Do both?
Yeah.
I think it was just like her personality was trying to take over, because she had been taken over the whole Peabody situation with, and so they made her have this conflict, and it's really weird because she didn't just go after Tina. She went and turned down Bet and gave the most money to Tina. And then she said she didn't want to give to the arts anymore, and there's an argument to be said for that. But I think they could have done it in the real life they could have done it give less to the arts and give more to the social programs, but they wanted to make it obvious that she was trying to screw Bet over and trying to get Tina because she's obsessed with pregnant ladies or something.
Yeah, it seems but I noticed that she was always so. She talked so much about how Tina was pregnant and being like, "Oh, you're pregnant," and I was like, "That's weird."
It's a little fetishy.
Yeah, that's a bit fetishy.
Yeah,
but
Helena's really bossy.
Yeah, she's bossy and weird, and I thought it was very weird how she didn't care about having sex in front of her kids.
Well, it wasn't in front of her kids.
No, but her kids were in the bed, and she was touching Tina.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And Tina was like, "I don't feel comfortable with this," and she was like, "It's fine, they don't mind." And I was like, "What?"
I don't think it was. I didn't read it as she was trying to have sex with Tina with the kids there, but I thought it was just her being there was enough. Just being there was enough of uncomfortableness for Tina.
No, I don't think that. I mean. I read it because Tina was around her kids a lot, so I don't think that was the issue. I think that she
didn't want her to just see her in the bed.
I don't know. I read it very differently.
Uh,
It seemed like she was trying to do something with Tina while her kids were still there.
that's so weird. I don't know. I didn't read it. I think that she was just like touching her in some way, but like wouldn't go any further than that. Obviously, there's kids there. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that was like that was just uncomfortable in all ways because Tina was uncomfortable and Helena was not sensitive to that at all.
Yeah. And
So
she
that was
very,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, and Helena was very, like, petty. Oh, because of Betty. Betty, no. Bet.
She was petty because of Betty.
She was very petty because of Bet.
Uh-huh.
And it was very annoying. And, yeah.
So that whole thing was...
Yeah, and also, sorry, when Tina decides she wants to start seeing Bet again, Helena is like, oh, well, it's fine if you want to see other people. I'm sorry that you thought that we weren't seeing other people. When in reality, they're definitely not supposed to be seeing other people.
Yeah.
Helena definitely, like, she wanted a place for Tina in her house and everything. She was definitely taking it seriously. But then when Tina's like, oh, I want to see other people, she's like, that was always the situation. She's very petty.
She's proud and like a little bit childish and stuff. So
definitely.
So she kind of like tries to twist everything to be in her favor, and she can because she's got money.
Yeah.
And all that British upbringing, you know, because I think the idea is that like she went to a British school and that's why she talks like that, and her mom doesn't.
Well, her mom, yeah. Yeah, because I noticed her mom didn't. Well, because her mom talks in like
a very affected voice, but not a British
but it
accent.
kind of sounds like a British accent sometimes, because of the way. Because she talks in like a. Sounds like old English. Old American English.
No, it's more in this affected rich people, posh kind of voice. It's not English, like British English. Okay. But like Helena has that posh British.
That makes no sense. Why would she have a British accent and her mom now?
That's what I just said. I think she was schooled in some...
Oh. That's very weird.
Yeah, because she said her mom was never around, and I'm pretty sure. I think maybe that's something we find out in the future, and I know it because she talks about it later on. Like, because I always thought that how do they have the different accents? And I think it's because she went to boarding school, and so her entire childhood she would be around people with a British accent, so she would be British.
I think that they found an actress they really liked, but she couldn't fake an American accent, so they were like, oh, we'll just make a
behind the scenes questions. Why do they have the different accents of the people? Why do they do that? And they just like write it in there.
Yeah.
So like, as all that's going on, what about Bet with herself? Like, what do you think the things went on, like within Bet, to make things change within Bet in the very beginning and middle?
I don't know. I think that in the beginning she was, like I said, she was too defensive, and she was like not looking into the fact that she screwed up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She was angry at herself, and then I think she got really down on herself because she started drinking a lot.
Yeah, she did. And I don't know, I guess I didn't realize how the shift happened of her starting to like own up to what she did and like kind of feeling a little better. I don't know if it just was time, you know? But I think also she got a lot closer to Kit this season. Because she was close to Kit last season, but she started spending more time with her this season, I guess because she was all alone and she didn't have anyone else. And I don't know. Also, yeah, I don't know. I feel like she just had to, she was alone, so she had to look at herself, you know?
Yeah, and everything started to fall apart also. She started to, and so
yeah,
it
and
was
she
like,
lost the money from her, for her,
the donation?
Yeah, she lost that, and I feel like that also kind of,
yeah, professionally things were falling apart. Yeah. She lost Tina, and those were two things that made her very like felt very powerful.
Yeah.
And so she started to feel really bad about herself. And so she started going inward into this dark place of, I'm really sorry and stuff. And she couldn't get over it. And then things start to change when she starts to realize that she needs to be nicer to Tina.
Yeah.
And Tina kind of like said, I need my autonomy. And also she said, I need you to stop telling me stuff that I don't feel like listening to.
Yeah.
You know, like that is really kind of cool to see the dynamic of that relationship. Like I remember in the beginning of season 1, they were like, you guys have the most perfect relationship, but really they didn't.
Yeah.
Because it was always like Tina being there for Bet and Bet like being the professional woman that didn't, you know, that was like in charge of everything. And then Tina kind of like doing whatever Bet said.
Yeah.
And then they see that like that's not the way Tina wants to be.
Yeah.
And that happens with a lot of people in a lot of relationships. Men and women, women and women.
Men and men.
Men and men probably. I don't know. But they do. And like any kind of double dynamic, you know, sometimes there's a power struggle and it depends on the different family. So like the power dynamic changed because of what happened. And because of the baby, they look at each other again and say, well, maybe there's a reason to try and make it work. That happens. Also, like, babies appear and, like, make people stay together when they might not have in other ways.
Yeah, but do you think that they end up staying together when they shouldn't have stayed together because of a baby?
No.
You know what I mean?
No. I think that that wasn't that bad. There was no abuse happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad that they couldn't repair it. But both of them needed to make changes.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that started to happen during the season. They started to make changes to make each other be happier and stuff. And be more loving and stuff. And so we had that happen. And Bet became more open to change. So then she ended up being more sensitive to Tina. And also she's scared of losing that baby.
Yeah.
So she kind of got a little bit more like, had that like scaredy face on her face. You know, like that sensitive scaredy face she has, which is like, I don't want to do anything to mess this up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like cool. And then we had Kit and Ivan.
Yeah. I feel like that fell apart pretty quickly. Yeah. But,
I thought something was really weird. But go ahead. You can say what you thought.
I
you can
think,
remember what happened.
What I remember is that Kit went to ask for money for Ivan. And then when she gets there, Ivan is, like, not wearing his stuff to look like a man, you know? Like, he's with his hair down and he's, like, practically naked. And then he like, shuts off from Kit because of that, which is I mean, I think it's understandable that he freaked out about it because, you know. But then I felt it was kind of weird that Kit still asked for money from him after that.
I didn't think it was weird because she didn't have any options.
Yeah,
so
I
she was
guess.
like, what can I do? I got to find my options and see if I can get through this. Plus, she didn't think that it was that big a deal. She thought they could get past it. The problem that I have with the writing of this whole thing is that Ivan gave her a key to the apartment.
Yeah.
So Kit should have been able to go in and out whenever she wanted to because he gave a key.
Yeah, that's
And then
true.
like, come on, what do you think is going to happen? She's going to walk in on you unexpectedly sometime when you give a key to a person.
That's true.
So I thought that was really like weak. I thought that was weak. I thought the whole reason that he freaked out was not weak, but the reason that Kit got in there was because he gave her a key.
Yeah,
so why didn't he think?
Some weird writing.
Yeah, that was some weird like excuse.
Also, once again, we see that thing, the same thing that happened to Jenny about like how she fell for Marina and then Marina ended up having a girlfriend. Ivan had a girlfriend too.
Yeah, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And plus, the girlfriend was weird too because she's like, I don't like those lesbian places, and it's like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And so like they did a little playing with gender, and I think I was really confused in our last conversation. We were talking about like that they weren't sensitive to trans situations, and what I think that like the thing is that at that time there wasn't a vocabulary that was like readily being used
Yeah.
about trans people. There was no mention of pronouns, he, she, they. There's no they.
Yeah.
There's no that, that, I mean, at least on the show, they don't play with pronouns in the way that they include they. There's no, and they say, she wants to be your husband. They play with gender identity in our world. I think it's not about, until this point, I think it's not about, what, being a transphobe or anything like that.
Yeah, but I do feel like it was kind of they made this character that was very obviously trans, and then kept making some of the characters refer to him as she. But I feel like also they weren't able to explain that the person was trans. It was kind of oh, it's just him being a drag king.
Yeah. But they did present him as a drag king. So it's very confusing to me too. What are they trying to show? Because they don't use they don't use the vocabulary trans. They don't, they go back and forth with the pronouns of he and she. And there's a thing called, which I don't know, which you probably do know, it's called gender fuck. It's people who dress up and are androgynous or just both genders or many genders at the same time. And it's it's a very it's explored in drag a lot. Is where people just, and not in drag. It's not exactly drag, and it's not exactly not drag, and it's not people being trans. It's just people breaking all the standards that are the traditional standards.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's what they were trying to touch on. Ivan was breaking traditional standards, but not, and not exactly saying that. Obviously, when he got mad because Kit saw him as a woman, obviously he's saying, "I want to be a man. I want to be trans." But in the beginning, it wasn't obvious because he was a drag king, and so not all drag queens are trans women.
Exactly.
So you think,
exactly.
So not all drag kings are trans men. So you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think it was a kind of an exploration of the gender fucking culture and not trying to be transphobic. That's what that's how I saw it. And then you saw it with your eyes as being a little bit transphobic. Yeah.
Maybe not intentionally, but still being a little bit transphobic.
Yeah, it gets more into this in future seasons.
Oh, does Ivan show up more?
I don't remember, but it's other situations.
Oh, okay.
You'll see. There's more.
Okay.
So we got into that. So it's I liked Ivan and then I didn't like Ivan. It's it was weird.
I liked him in the first season, and then the second season
it was just weird.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to write him out of the show, and they just
definitely.
And they kind of did it in a weird way, but it's okay. Things can be done weirdly. Let's see. How about Jenny? Let's go to Jenny. Jenny was the one who we were focusing on Jenny's arc in the first season, and there's a huge Jenny arc in the second season.
Yeah.
Jenny goes to deep darkness. She starts to scratch the surface of, literally also, because, she starts to go into her brain and find out memories that she had forgotten.
Yeah.
And she gets a job. She gets in this class.
Yeah.
Remember, she starts this class, a master class, with this awesome actress that also appears in Pose.
I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she gets this opportunity to improve her writing and explore herself more.
Yeah.
And find out what kind of writer she is. And then she also goes and works with this actor who is a closet.
An actor?
Yeah, who's an actor. He was an actor.
Closeted guy who she thought was homophobic at first.
Yeah.
He kind of was a little bit.
He was acting that way. He was acting that way, to close himself off from the possibility of opening up his career and stuff. So that was kind of cool. I really liked all of that. Yeah. I thought it was cool, that she gets an opportunity to work with someone, and also I love seeing when people go to classes and get new challenges and.
Really?
I like that. I think it's cool. I think it's maybe because I miss it. It's maybe because that's why I'm always studying, because I miss having that as be my only thing that I care about. Like what does she do? Her job is like as a waitress, and so then she can concentrate on her like perfecting her craft and evolving her craft, and that's kind of cool. And I really like seeing what happens with characters when that happens. But what happens with her is not exactly happy in many ways.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's cool. She kind of comes into herself. She cuts her hair.
Yeah, she cuts her hair. And it did feel like when she cut her hair was because she wanted to be recognized as gay, which is understandable. You know, you go through something and suddenly you're out and proud, but no one realizes that you're out. And then sometimes they just want to be more obvious, and I feel like that's okay if it's what you want.
Yeah,
you know,
I thought it was a cool step for her.
It was cool, yeah, and it was really sweet. The whole scene with Shane cutting her hair.
Yeah,
it was very sweet. I really liked their relationship,
their friendship.
It was very sweet.
Yeah, that was nice that they developed a relationship as friends, as roommates, living in the house, and also Jenny's relationships that she was trying to be with Robin, and then Robin was too serious.
Who is Robin again?
The one
who...
Oh,
right, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
The one who took her to see her friends.
Yeah.
And then they were all talking about marriage, and Jenny was like, no, thank you. Not ready for that. And Robin was super normal. She was just trying to have a relationship. I really liked her. I like that actress, too.
And then the whole thing with Carmen, which... I feel like I liked Carmen, but I feel like it was kind of mean of her, what she did. You know, of like still being with Jenny while like obviously being like in love with Shane. And then actually like saying that to Shane and then acting like she didn't, you know, being like, no, but I chose you. But then she was like talking to Shane and being like, why are you... like, you know that we have something real, and then saying that she doesn't have something real with Jenny. And I feel like that's not a nice thing to do to someone, you know? Like, I liked Carmen, but I felt like it was kind of not nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a different opinion of Carmen. I love Carmen. I think she's awesome. I think that she was thinking that Jenny was on the same page as her. But just then, kind of like dating and not falling in love or anything. And I think Jenny wasn't falling in love. Jenny was like in her own world.
Yeah, but it was still like... No, I don't think she was, though. Because when she's trying to like... When Jenny finds out what she said to Shane because of the cameras, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute.
But when Carmen finds out that Jenny knows, she's like trying to make Jenny still stay with her and being like, no, but I chose to be with you and I want to make things work out with you. And that I felt was kind of
disingenuous.
Yeah. Because it was obvious that she didn't want anything that big with Jenny because she was just... The reality was she was waiting for Shane to like deal with her issues of commitment and finally be like, hey, I want to be with you. You know? Yeah. I felt like...
You thought that was shitty?
Yeah, but I still really loved her. I thought she was a really cool character.
I think Carmen is like incredibly beautiful.
She's so beautiful.
She's like scarily beautiful. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's so gorgeous. And then she... she gets into that and she stays there because she wants to be near Carmen, maybe. But I didn't think that... Carmen wanted to be near Shane. Yeah. And she stays with Jenny because of that. And it was very weird. I didn't see them as having any future. Like, I thought it was just very on the surface.
And I was kind of very confused because at first I thought they were just like hanging out and sometimes like being together. And then suddenly like it was like, oh, Carmen and Jenny are girlfriends. And it was kind of like, suddenly I didn't understand when that happened. You know what I mean? I was like, what?
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, they kind of jumped ahead on that.
Yeah. But I guess that's a lot of things that lesbians do. Like suddenly being like, oh, we're in a relationship, you know?
Yeah, that's a joke.
That's
a
lesbian
on the
joke.
second.
Yeah.
You move in on the second date.
Yeah.
Yeah, because women like to cling.
Yeah, but it is a little bit real.
Yeah.
at least here, that happens a lot. Like, not move in, but, like, it's like, oh, 1 week together, we're in love. It happens here a lot, at least.
Yeah. Well, then we have, so Jenny goes through all that stuff, and we can get, as we talk about other people, then we'll go back to Jenny again, because we get to see what she talks about at the end. Then we have Shane getting a job as, she comes back from, like Alice says, Sherry Jaffe land.
Yeah.
And doesn't talk anymore about Sherry Jaffe.
Yeah.
Ignores.
And
has a little bit of a fun time with Carmen, but doesn't want a relationship.
Yeah.
So she just kind of like goes on and with her self-destructive patterns.
Can I just say something though? I didn't feel like Shane really did have any feelings like that for Carmen. I felt like Carmen was just like kind of delusional a little bit. But then at the end, it does seem like she does have feelings for Carmen. I honestly started feeling like maybe Shane liked Jenny.
Really?
Yeah.
I never saw that ever.
Really?
I don't know. That's funny. It's funny, your perspective. You see the way they present it, and then you see like, wait a minute, is she interested in her?
Yeah.
Blah.
I think maybe it's just my brain being used to like straight shows where I kind of have to see two friends and being like, that friend likes each other. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain. Like, my brain is kind of like...
you think they like each other.
It's automatic to think that friends like each other in shows, because that's like when you watch like a lot of straight shows, a lot of times you kind of have to, if you want something gay, you have to create it in your mind.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So my brain is used to doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of friends end up together when they are, in some situations.
Yeah.
It's like friends that end up together.
Yeah. But
then you kind of invent
still,
it. Be like, no, those, like Ernie and Bert, you know, on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Be like, no, they're not roommates.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the whole, and they were roommates.
And they were roommates.
Thing. Like, I mean, it's very common.
So your brain already jumped to that.
Yeah.
That's funny. And then, but Shane, I don't know, I never really thought about it.
I also thought they would be a really cute couple together.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is funny to hear from you.
Maybe because I have a big crush on both of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
I think
funny.
They're very cute.
That's cute.
But even without that, I still thought that Shane didn't really care that much about Karen, like Carmen. Romantically, like obviously she cared for Carmen. Oh my God, why do I keep calling her Karen? But I didn't feel like she was like in love with Carmen. Like Carmen kept like saying like, no, we found something real, and it didn't feel like that until the end. And then in the end, like it kind of shows that Shane does feel things.
All I know is that I like just go watching all the glances of each other.
Yeah, maybe.
And so there's like, oh, I'm glancing at her, and oh, this is all the glances make you think that like, oh, they cared more than that first night was not just like a one night thing. So I don't know. They tried to make it look like they were really attracted to each other, but were avoiding each other.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I saw that. You saw it a different way.
Yeah.
But then she has a whole thing about Shane and working for that Veronica Bloom woman.
Yeah. Like, at first, I understood that Shane was, like, working at, like, movies and stuff to cut the people's hair.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Shane was like, oh, she's good at talking to people. And then...
Yeah, that's what happened. It was, like, one of those things. And then, like, Shane was like, I have no magic. And she's like, yes, you do!
Yeah.
And it became very like... Shane felt all the pressure on herself to be something that people thought she was.
Yeah.
And I saw, it's really funny because the way those scenes with Shane saying like, I can't give people everything that they want.
It was very like, two meanings, like not just about her work, but also about her like relationships.
Yeah. Like people think that they can give more than she's like more available than she actually is emotionally. But then it's really funny because I was watching a video of an interview from a couple years ago of Kate Moaning, and it was like every time you watch an interview with a woman and Kate Moaning, it's a woman flirting with her as if she's Shane. It's really annoying after a while because it's the same always. They're like, oh, are you anything like Shane? She's like, early, I'm nothing like Shane. It's like, that's, it's acting, people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I'm nothing like Shane. I'm a different type of person. You don't know me. And she's like, oh, I think you are a little bit like her. And I looked, I was like, the actress must be like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't have any magic. Of course, she has the magic of being able to be an actress to be able to pull that off. But she's not that. That's not her. And like, I felt that kind of like reflected upon this whole scene when she's trying to tell people is like, stop trying to put me to do things that I'm not able to do. I'm not available to you. I just want to cut hair. But she is a very special character. She's very sensitive, even though she doesn't want a relationship. She does have
a lot of care,
sensitive and care for the people she cares for. She's very open-minded, and every time somebody does something screwed up, she's always the most kind of like accepting person.
Yeah, like how
and she's the one that just goes like, "That sucks," or she goes like, "I'm sorry that happened to you." Like she's a little more like sensitive, more woke person than all the other people.
Yeah, like with Bet and Tina, with the Bet and Tina situation, she was the more like, I'm not gonna pick sides person. Like both of them are hurting, and we should acknowledge
care of both
that.
of them.
Yeah, I thought it was very sweet.
Yeah, she's a really I really like her character.
Yeah,
she's really well written. So she tries to she has that professionally going on with her. Yeah. And then we have Alice having a thing professional happen with her, which is the chart job.
Yeah.
How does she get that job? Do you remember?
She goes there wanting to talk about serious stuff, but then she sees her ex and Dana's ex are dating. And then she gets there and she's just talking to her friend, like talking about what was going on, and then they're like
she thought it was before it was like before the audition.
Yeah, she didn't realize that she was already auditioning. And then they're like, this is perfect. She's so hilarious and good. And then so
she gets a job by accident. Yeah, they but like Dana was telling her, don't be funny, be yourself. And she's like, but it's this radio station. They're a serious radio station. She's like, yeah, but they asked for you. Yeah. You're funny. And she's like, That's when this is Alice kind of coming into her own and realizing what her personality is and and how she wants to be professionally too. And I thought that was kind of cool that they weaved that in there. And the chart comes in, because the chart was from like the last, and all these like relationships together and all this kind of stuff. It was cool. I liked it. I thought it was cute. The whole thing. It's a little bit cliche, but it was cute.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And about Alice and Dana.
Here we go.
The whole thing. I thought it was very funny that obviously it's a different situation, but I thought it was very funny that they were like, at the same time that they were like being completely on Tina's side of the Bet and Tina fight, they were like, obviously it was different, but they were like doing the same thing
to Tanya.
I thought it was very hypocritical a little bit of them. It is a different situation. However, it is a bit hypocritical of them.
Yeah, so it's easy to be judgy when it's not you.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing that happened with Marina and Bet. It's easy to be judgy when it's not with you.
Yeah. To turn around and be like, I would never do that. And then all of a sudden you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because of the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
And your feelings that you have and stuff.
Yeah.
So what did you think about Dana's breakup speech to Tanya? That's something that really marked me.
It was very sweet.
Yeah.
And very, like, not wanting to hurt Tanya's feelings.
Yeah.
But then Tanya's like, I was about to break up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they gave her an out.
Yeah.
They gave her an out for everybody to be like, Tanya's going to be fine.
Yeah. But also she didn't even say anything about Alice in the breakup speech.
Oh.
Yeah, which I understand. I understand, but however, if Tanya hadn't had someone else, I feel like, imagine if she's like, she hears that whole breakup speech and she like understands it as like, we don't really work.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly she sees, like, the next day Dana and Alice are dating. She would be like, oh, so you were cheating on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But to make that easier, that shift easier, I feel like that's why they gave Tanya the whole
Melissa Rivers
yeah.
thing.
Which was also very funny because I felt like Tanya was the one who made everything so fast. You know, she was the one who wanted to get married and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. But anyway, yeah. But I thought it was a funny situation a little bit. But also I really liked the way, like, the Dana was nice. I feel like she was wanting to protect Tanya's feeling, even though Tanya was freaking crazy
and annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that, like, sometimes relationships do break up for one reason, and it could be another reason too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a person, she was with Alice and she wanted to be with Alice, but there were these other reasons why she wanted to break up.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. Like, the reason for people breaking up is not always just the cheating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not always like, I want to be with the other person, so I don't want you anymore. It's like, there's other reasons, and I think that they explored that really well.
Yeah.
You know? They didn't, like, make it about the cheating, which was the Bet and Tina situation.
Yeah,
They made that about the cheating. Like, she broke up with her because she cheated because they had distance between them after the miscarriage and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was like, there were other problems, but, like, the reason they really split was because, like, there was infidelity. Now, this was a whole other situation. Like,
it was like kind of the opposite
like,
situation.
I can't marry you for this and this and this and this and this reason. And plus I'm with my best friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I liked Dana and Alice as a couple.
Before they got together, I liked them. I was like, oh, they're gonna be a really cute
friends.
couple.
I like them as friends better.
Before they, like, officially got together, I thought that they were gonna be a really cute couple. And then when they got together, it was like,
they had some fun. There were some fun scenes with them.
Yeah, but then
going into the sex shop and stuff.
Yeah, that was a funny.
Like, together, like, not before, like, when Tanya was there.
Yeah, no.
The next time they went
together and everything.
They got into some really graphic stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any talk about that before? Like, about in any other shows about, like,
not shows, like, just, like, people I know talking
about like strap-ons and stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's so good for you. Okay. I'm so glad.
I guess it's because it's more, like, accepted and open now.
I guess.
In that situation.
Because when I was your age, I never seen anything like that.
Oh.
I mean, I knew it existed, but I hadn't seen people talk about it or.
Well, I've never met anyone that has used it, but I've talked to people about wanting to use it, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I wasn't surprised with the situation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I did think it was interesting that they made it about Alice being bisexual, that she wanted to use that.
It's a valid question.
It's a valid question.
But what do you think?
It's slightly biphobic.
you think that, like, a lot of people complain that the L word leans towards the biphobic. But I think it's a valid question.
But it is a valid question.
Like that, for them to be open in that conversation.
Yeah,
be like, well, wait a minute.
Is it because you're bi that you want me to do that? You know, I understand. But it really isn't. It's just, like, I guess it just depends on the person. Yeah.
Yeah, they just want another toy.
Yeah. But I thought it was also very funny when they went to the boat and then they found the thing.
And she was like, I don't want to check. I need to check my bag. I need to check my bag.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason.
Yeah.
That was just for the sake of the show, because any normal person would be like, no, honey, I need to check this bag now.
Yeah. Although it was very Dana to just accept and being like, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
That's funny.
But
I loved that whole boat scene, the cruise. Yeah. The whole cruise episode.
It was
so cool because they had, like, the speaker who talked very open about sex thing. They talked about threesomes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, not that much, but, like, they talked about that. She talked about that. She talked about people being polyamorous. And, like, all these talks about things that during that time, Janaina, there were no talks about this on TV.
Oh my god.
on regular kind of like.
I figured
I didn't.
that was. I guess I'm like when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I've seen that happen in TV already. But then like thinking about it, I was like, oh my god, that must have been kind of.
It was very, very
shocking.
Not to say shocking, but it was courageous of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm waiting for the time when it starts to have the adult advisory. I'm not sure if
they start having that.
Yeah, but I don't know if on the version we're watching it doesn't show up. So I don't know if it already showed up. But there was an adult advisory.
I mean, it definitely needs an adult advisory.
But when the show was aired, it was on Showtime, which at the time was a cable channel that you had control over. There was no streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like at the time that it was showing, it was like they put an extra. You know what I mean? They put an extra advisory. It was like,
yeah,
it's not just like this is an adult show like any other movie, like an R-rated movie. Mm-hmm. It's like this is an adult show, and you better be a really mature adult to watch this for real. Yeah. And it was kind of like people argued over it. I mean, it was like controversial.
Yeah,
you know, and it was partially because of subjects like this, which are super healthy to have for conversations of people like of your age, I think.
Yeah.
And for you saw it's like, yeah, I've talked about that before. Oh, I've seen dildos before. I've seen this before. And it's like, oh my God, when I was your age, I didn't have access to any of that information. It was all kind of like very underground, and you had to go looking for it in a kind of way that it's not, because very shame shrouded. You know what I mean?
What, like sex toys and stuff?
Yeah, like you didn't have
like today. It's like, oh, I mean, I feel like there's still a bit of shame. But it's mostly like, you go, girl. You know?
Good for you.
Yeah. Good for you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good for us.
Yeah.
Good for everybody.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to Dana and Laura.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So what do you think about Alice saying, sure, be friends with your ex? And then it looks like they're getting interested in each other again. What did you think about all that?
I feel like it's just a lot of, that's the issue I had with the relationship with Dana and Alice, is that they weren't that honest to each other sometimes about how they felt about certain things, you know? And like Alice was like, sure, it's okay for you to hang out with Laura, and then she's like, Laura?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can say Laura.
No, Laura's a name and Laura's a name.
Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Laura. Okay. Laura. But then she is like all neurotic and stuff and doesn't want her to be hanging out with Laura. Mm-hmm. But then she's like, no, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Oh, she said it's okay even though she wasn't feeling it's okay. And she was getting neurotic and then being very neurotic-y about it.
Yeah.
So what did you think about that whole involvement? Like, did you ever see that happen with people?
What?
I don't know.
Talking to their ex again, and it's because the reason
any of it.
It's because the reason that Laura and Dana broke up was something that it wasn't because they didn't like each other, they weren't like in love. It was because Dana thought she couldn't come out, but then she could. You know? So I thought it was I really thought that at some point that they were gonna get back together.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, I guess it's, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that type of situation happen between my friends. No.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it in real life.
I'm
trying to imagine.
But I can imagine that it does.
Yeah, I can imagine all of that being very natural. I felt it very natural, like that Dana and Laura would rekindle the relationship because they really, like you said, they didn't break up because they didn't like each other. They broke up because of the situation. It was kind of cut short when they were really into each other still. And then, but seriously, Dana is really into Alice, but they really were really good friends. And it was just like it was more of like, it wasn't always romantic.
I didn't start season 3 yet.
Yeah.
And it kind of is left open in season 2 if they're just going to stay together or not.
Yeah, no, it's all open still. I'm still talking with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's like the possibility looks like it's there because they start flirting with each other, and then Alice is also very jealous, and so a lot of stuff can happen.
Yeah, a lot of stuff can happen. Either they break up or they like end up like, either they, like, break up amicably, or they break up very badly, or nothing happens, or I don't know.
They're all the choices.
Yeah.
We never know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We have, let me go back a little bit and get out of this situation and talk about Kit a little bit, and the Dr. Benjamin Bradshaw.
Oh, right, yeah. That was interesting. I don't know, I felt like she had a lot of admiration for him, and that was kind of why she was with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And what about the fact that he's married?
Yeah. That just seems like such a common thing in the L word all the time. There's like someone's married or there's some cheating or whatever.
Yeah.
It just keeps happening.
I think that they put that in there to show how Kit really didn't respect herself that much yet.
Yeah.
She didn't like respect herself enough to say like, no, I don't want to be the other woman. When
Yeah.
really it's obvious she didn't like to be the other woman.
Yeah.
It was obvious she was like sad when he broke off plans.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so like she's trying to like figure out.
And also I think it's very funny that this guy that does like self-motivational talk and like acts like he's so like resolved in life
and wise
is cheating on his wife. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's a total double standard there.
Yeah, which I feel like is something that definitely happens a lot.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think that Kit, but Kit is showing another side because she's very vulnerable. She stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And she is showing her different insecurities. And one way to be insecure is to be with another woman, is to be the other woman.
Yeah. And also...
It's just so like you're trying to have a relationship, but not really. And you're also letting someone just jerk you around because you're being left behind. You're always second.
Yeah.
You're not being like, you're not prioritized.
Yeah. Also, I think it was very interesting to see her whole trajectory with the planet. I thought it was really cool to see her taking care of it. And
and that's in another sense.
And making it even, like, an even cooler place than it was before, you know?
That's, in that way, she was building her self-esteem and her power as a woman.
But then as relationship-wise...
Yeah, like, romantically, she needs some work.
And also, since we're talking about Kit, let's talk also about the dad.
Yeah.
Their dad. And I thought it was very interesting and kind of, I saw it coming, how he was so much more accepting with Kit being the other woman than with Bet being gay. You know?
Yeah. And it was very weird. There was something they wrote very strangely into Melvin, which is their dad.
Yeah.
He was not accepting of Bet, but he was a good friend of Gloria Steinem, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
Gloria Steinem, you remember, is a feminist activist, which doesn't mean she's obviously, from the conversations we learned, she's not lesbian, but she's friends with lesbians. So she's a feminist activist and stuff. How can you be so close to a feminist activist and then be so understanding of the lesbian point of view? I didn't get that.
I feel like
that was bad writing. I thought.
Maybe not, because I feel like that does happen.
Yeah.
Like people who are feminists, but then when it comes, like, are feminists, not really when it comes to him, like kind of being like, okay, I'm a feminist and I think I should be like fight for women's rights, but then when it's gay women, it's like
something else.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe
maybe
that does happen.
Maybe
The same way they're like, that happens a lot with every like activist, like activist group, you know, like LGBT activists, black activists, and whatever. I'm sure there are a lot of also black activists who are not accepting of the queer community either, and sometimes I saw it happen a lot when the whole like Black Lives Matter thing was going on in 2020, that there were a lot of people like who were not accepting to gay, black gay people were seeing that they were kind of being left behind by some black activists. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think since that, I obviously it's different, but I think that might happen as well with feminists, because I also see a lot of feminists being transphobic and everything. So I don't think...
Yeah, that's awful. I don't
think it's that far
I can't.
off
I've
for
heard so much
someone.
about that,
Yeah.
and I'm so tired of having this conversation.
Yeah.
You don't have to be transphobic in order to be
a feminist,
or to be into women's power. Like, you know,
yeah,
women have different layers of their power, and all different kinds of people have different layers of the power, and trans people have different layers of their power and different experiences. And it doesn't mean we don't like each other if we honor each person's individual experience. So maybe I thought it was extremely strange writing. But because it was an excuse to get Gloria Steinem in the last episode.
I did think it was very I did think it was a bit weird.
Oh yeah, it was I thought it was like an excuse to get Gloria Steinem in the last episode, is just put them in the, have her show up for the wake, and then they had this fundraiser afterwards, which was very cool.
Yeah.
I wish I'd been in some of those. I'd never been to one of those.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
It seems really cool to be in one of those.
Yeah.
But what I thought was strange writing, not strange writing, but I thought was kind of funny, that he was all about biology and being like, Tina's baby can't be my baby because she's
my grandchild.
Yeah, because it's not biological or whatever. And then he's very religious, I feel like it's because a lot of times I see a lot of religious people denying biological things. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
You've never seen that?
Denying biological things?
Yeah, I've seen people being like, "Oh, I'm religious, so I don't like science class because I know that God did everything."
Oh.
So and it's funny because I saw that right before watching the episode where he's dying and stuff, and he was talking about God and a bunch of stuff, and I was like, it's interesting that he's so biological about how he can be a parent or whatever, but then he believes in something so non-biological. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not judging his not judging religion because of biology. I'm saying that he's so...
There are different parts of biology, because I think that the religious people, they use it when it's convenient.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Or the Christian religion, they say this science doesn't make sense, but this science does.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. It's it reminded me of those people who's like, I'm going to deny this part of science, but when it comes to my prejudice, I'm going to use it. You know what I mean? That's what they do science a lot. When, in reality, if you use science enough, you realize that gay things are very normal, because we are the only species that are homophobic. Because, you know what I mean?
Did you ever see a homophobic dog?
Exactly! Come on!
Oh my god, that's funny.
But that's what I mean by what I was saying. I thought it was very interesting, and because it's a very common thing to see people who are religious to use biology for their prejudice when they deny a lot of biology stuff, science, not biology, science. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm gonna ignore this part of science, but when I'm trying to throw my prejudice at people, I'm gonna use science as an excuse. Something that they do a lot.
Yeah. So that was interesting to you.
That was interesting to me. And I thought it was very interesting to see his conversation with Bet when he was like, I don't understand why you're doing this. You're doing something that's going to make you go to hell, and you're having this choice of being gay, and I've tried to teach you that that's going to be bad for you or whatever. And then she's like, I thought it was very interesting to see her conversation with being like, I don't remember exactly what she said, But of her being like, you're so worried about me, but you can't realize you're hurting me by not accepting me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought it was very interesting to see that.
Uh-huh. And it was the same episode where they go to the Pride Parade. The other
Yeah.
one, the other characters go to the Pride
Yeah.
Parade.
I thought it was very
And-
interesting. I thought it was very cool that they did that whole
Yeah, because I
thing
remember her,
at the
what
same
she
time.
said, he said, like, what are you going to say to God when he looks at all your sins? And then she says, I'm
You
going to
made
say,
me like
you made
this."
me and I'm proud. And it's the
Exactly.
same episode that they're proud because
Yeah,
they go to
I
the
thought it was
parade.
very cool. Yeah, that's what she said. That's what I was trying to remember.
Mhm.
Like, the whole thing of being like, what are you going to say to God because of your sins? And, like, you sinned so much or whatever. And it's like, God made me like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Let
I'm
me
proud.
be.
Let me be. I'm, like, it's that whole thing of, like, for, obviously, we are not Christian or Catholic or anything. But it's the whole thing of being like God's child. For us, it's like we're goddesses' child or whatever. But it's like they made us this way. And then you go around and try to say that the way that they made us is wrong. And I think it's very wrong to do that. You know? Like, be like, I think it's very sad that there's the whole thing of being like, because of who you are, God's not going to love you, but it's not true.
No.
You know? It's like,
Obviously.
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, these people are like so annoying about how something that happens, something that we're born with, something that no one chose to be gay. If we had to choose to be gay, why would someone choose to be marginalized, you know what I mean? If it was that easy, everyone would choose to be straight and not, like, suffer, you know? At least most people.
I don't know.
So, like,
yeah.
you know, and then, like, it's very sad to see to see the whole parent not accepting her and, like, calling Tina Miss Kennard, and not acknowledging her as someone who made Bet happy, someone who is part of Bet's life. And, like, Bet, who has always been so, like, daddy's girl, you know, like, always wanting to do everything for him, and he can't accept something that is so big for her, you know, and it made me very sad to see that.
Yeah. And it's a reality for many people. Many, 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 many.
Yeah, I was definitely very lucky.
And it's you know, your parents are not like that, right? And so no. And it's interesting that they brought the religious piece. They brought it into Bet in the first season and the second season because of the arts. They were attacked by religious fanatics, and then now they brought in like as the dad was the small microcosm of that, saying like questioning her in the religious sense too. It's like that's what happens in the outer world and in the inner world, even in families.
I think it's very annoying that they use religion to be prejudice,
to justify
intolerance. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on from that into. So what did you think? I want to ask about what you thought about the whole watching the father die part about it.
It was very sad, and I felt like I understood Bet, like, wanting to be there for her father, but it was also like she's taking on so much to, like, be there with her father till the end and ask him to go to her house and having to take care of him when he's, like, dying. That's not good for someone, you know, like that I feel like that would be very draining for her, you know. And she was already dealing with a lot. Her ex, or possibly now not ex, was about to have a baby, and she was also dealing with a lot of stuff at work, which, you know, it ended up kind of ruining her work a little bit.
A little bit. She got fired.
Yeah, she got fired. Yeah, like it ruined and I understand that she wanted to be there for her dad, but I also don't think that helped her dad either. Because she wasn't qualified to be taking care of him in that state, and also she wasn't accepting the fact that he was gonna die. You know.
Well, Kit was very straightforward about it.
Yeah,
that was cool. That conversation was that Kit was really facing reality.
Yeah, she was like, "Hey, our dad's gonna die." You know.
Yeah.
But I can imagine. I don't know if I've never been through that, so I can't even imagine how it must be hard to kind of face the fact. Oh, your dad's gonna die. You know, so although I was like, geez, you really need to accept reality, I was also like, ooh, that must be so hard.
Yeah. It was a really good topic to touch on, because really what this show does is it touches on all the lesbian topics, but also on some topics that have to do with just life.
Yeah.
And
that's why I really like this show.
And let's go on. And let's move on to this other thing having to do with life, would be Jenny's whole problem, and how that gets brought out even more with the Mark situation.
Yeah.
So Jenny and Shane are living together in a house and they can't make rent, so they need to invite a third roommate. So they go through all this situation of of interviewing new possible roommates, which is kind of funny. They had some funny options there and some crazy people that came in with different personalities. And then comes Mark, who is a filmmaker. And he wants to make documentaries and stuff. And what does he end up doing?
He puts cameras all over the house and just violates their privacy and wants to make a movie about them. And when they didn't accept being filmed, he was like, damn, I'm just going to put cameras all over the house.
The thing is that they did accept being filmed. But in interviews and stuff. Yeah. Remember, he said, I'm going to interview you and film you.
But some of them, I felt like they didn't want to be interviewed. I thought that they were saying that they didn't.
They said they think about it, but then then he has all these interviews.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
He ends up interviewing them after that.
But it's like it was a big violation of privacy. And also he has this weird obsession with Shane.
Yeah.
But I thought it was also very interesting to see that Shane ends up being his friend and kind of forgiving him for that. I don't know why, but she does.
Yeah.
But it was also like it's like he was doing all this stuff, and he wasn't acknowledging that what he was doing was bad until he started seeing like more like sensitive stuff showing up. Like in conversations, you know what I mean? Like when he saw the whole thing about Carmen and Shane and seeing them talking, I feel like after that he was like, it was only at that moment that he realized he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing.
I don't think he realized anything. I thought he was happy that he got some good footage.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, oh my God. And watching the footage. And then, and I thought what he wanted to do, he didn't want to catch a bunch of like sex. He wanted to get more deeper things, but he was stealing that. It wasn't in interviews. It was in hidden cameras.
Exactly.
So of course it's all illegal what he did.
Yeah. And
it was awful and disgusting and rapey. Like she says, those rapey cameras.
Very rapey. I think it's very interesting. I thought it was very interesting when she said, you have sisters, you have a mother. Ask them when was the first time they felt violated by a man? And he was like, what makes you think that they were? And she was like, every woman has been.
Can you answer that question?
The first time?
Yeah.
It's been so long ago. I don't think I remember the first time I was violated.
Well, what's the first time you remember? Something that marked you?
Let me think. I feel like, to be honest, my first kiss was a bit of a violation, because for me, when it happened, I just wanted to be kissed, so I didn't care. But looking back, I was at this party, like, it wasn't it's called matinee here. I don't know how to explain
an
what
afternoon
that is.
party?
Yeah. It was at night though.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not
Evening?
that night. Yeah, it's because it's called matinee, but it was called a matinee because it was like 13, 14, 15-year-olds. It was like you couldn't be 18 and you couldn't be under like 13.
Okay.
It was that type of party. And it was like at a place that there would be like it was like at a club, but for teenagers with no
Young
alcohol
teenagers.
or anything. And then I really wanted to have my first kiss at some point. I was like, I just want to kiss someone so bad. I don't care when it happens, because I felt like...
And how old were you?
I was 14.
Okay.
But then I was going to the bathroom, and it was like very crowded. We were going to the bathroom, and this guy just grabbed me and kissed me. But since I was so like desperate to have a first kiss, I was like, okay. But looking back at it now, that was definitely not a good... it feels like a violation to me now. You know, I kind of got like just pulled out of nowhere by someone. I didn't even see his face properly. But because I was so desperate to have a first kiss, I was like, I don't care. You know, I didn't even like fight it or anything. But looking back at it, having a older mind, I'm like, that was not okay. What he did was definitely not okay. And if it had been with anyone else, I really hope that they would have like been like, get out of me, you know? Yeah. Well, so that's the time I remember being violated.
That's the first time you remember being violated. I remember the first time I was violated or invaded upon was when I guess I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And I was at a party, and it was with people for my age. And we were playing Spin the Bottle, but I wasn't playing. It was maybe 10 or 11. I don't know. We were young, but it was like not that young. So they were kind of playing Spin the Bottle. So it was like 11, maybe. I don't know. It was like that kind of around that age. And everybody was playing, but I wasn't comfortable with playing. I didn't want to be kissed. I didn't want any of that happening. So I stayed on the edge of the circle. So there was a circle of people that were like spinning the bottle, and I was like outside of the bottle. Outside of the bottle edge, like of the bottle area. And this boy in my class spun it
and then
stopped it and put it right to me and kind of ran after me. And I pushed him away, and he flew across. And what did everybody do? They said to him, "Are you okay?"
That is so...
And they looked at me like I was nuts. So I was like, no, I don't want to play. And I pushed him, and he came, and I was like, no, I don't want to play. And he was like, come on. It's like, no, I don't want to play. And he said, come on. And he pushed me, and he came close to me, and I pushed him, and he flew backwards.
But then everyone was like, oh,
everybody's like,
okay?
I turned to him and was like, oh my God, you're a an ox, a monster. Like, you pushed him away so hard, and he flew backwards. Like, I have this burned in my brain of him flying backwards.
I'm sorry. Now that you said that, I remember an actual, like, before that. That was my first kiss, like, kiss, you know? But my first kiss, just peck at the mouth, was also something similar. It was with this boy. When I was 6, 7 years old, there are these 2 boys, who would follow me and my friends around and want to kiss us or whatever. And we were always being like, no, get away from us. I even remember once he was trying to kiss my friend in the stairs, and I pushed him off the stairs.
Oh my God. I can't believe you never told me any of this.
Yeah. But I remember that one time he was being nice to me. So I was like being nice to him. And then we had to leave, and then, you know, here when you say goodbye and hello, you give a little peck in the cheek. Yeah.
There's a lot of kissing in Brazil.
Yeah.
But it's only on the cheek.
Yeah. So since he was being nice, I was like, okay, I'm going to say him a proper goodbye and give him a peck in the cheek. But then he turned his face, and I kissed him, like he kissed me in the mouth. So both of my first kisses were not very cool.
Oh my God.
Let's realize that.
People like to steal kisses from you, and that is not cool.
And I remember...
Consent.
And I remember here, at some point, this law was approved that it was illegal to steal a kiss, you know? And I remember I mentioned that in class, and people made fun of me, being like, that's so stupid. Like, what, you can't kiss someone? And I
Mhm.
remember being very upset because I was like, these people are so freaking stupid. And
Mhm.
they are very... It was all
It's
boys.
it's
being
called misogynist.
And
It's
I was
called
like...
the patriarchy.
It was very upsetting to me as being someone who had been...
kissed without consent.
Kissed without consent. It was very annoying to me to hear them making fun of me.
Yeah.
Because of a law that was approved.
Yeah.
You know?
That's horrible. I remember
Yeah.
when that law was approved. It's because people were just getting tacked in the metro and stuff like that, and then making no big deal out of it, and saying, you're just being a prude or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. That's why I never acknowledge. It's a big problem with me that I have to, like, acknowledge when someone is being over the line with me. You know what I mean? Like, I have to accept that I have boundaries, and I can't just let them do whatever they want with me.
Right. It's true. You have to say what you want and say what you don't want.
Yeah.
And then people also need to learn their side, that you have to respect people and ask before you do anything.
Yeah.
Or, just get consent.
Like, when someone says no, just accept their no.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
like
mean?
no means no.
Yeah.
And my body, my rules, and all this kind of stuff, it all comes into play when we talk about these things.
And it's very interesting that as someone who, I was raised with the whole my body, my choice. I was raised a feminist. And still, because of my own issues, I feel like I have not been really feminist to myself. You know what I mean?
Society has been stronger on you than your actual upbringing.
Yeah, because, I'm realizing now a lot of instances that I've really wanted to say no, or, I said no, or I didn't say an enthusiastic yes, kiss-wise. It has happened a lot of times where I was like, okay, or, no, and then they're like, oh, come on, and I'm like, no, and they're like, come on, and they're like, okay. That has happened a lot of times to me. And I just realized that. Yeah.
Maybe it's time to step up your game, step up your no game, or at least not step up your no game. It's not your fault, but what I'm saying is you end up saying yes. So.
Yeah, I need to.
And guys and people are they're taught to hunt and to capture and to insist.
I think it's time
people
for
are taught
me
to insist, and you can be taught to say no until the end.
I need to insist in my no's and also learn to say no sometimes. Because sometimes I just don't feel like saying no because I know someone's going to be upset, I need to start valuing my own feelings over other people's feelings.
Well, I think you need to really, really look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
This came out of our talk about
sorry.
L word. Sorry, why? Sorry.
No, it was just a very random thing that I just remembered.
It's not random at all. It has everything to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because of Jenny's question to Mark.
Yeah.
Ask your sisters when they were invaded by a man. And he was like, what makes you think it?
And I think it's...
that was like the pre-Me Too. There was before hashtags. There were no hashtags at that time. It was like the hashtag Me Too of the L word.
And also... I think it's very interesting that, not interesting, I don't know what word to use, but it was a very interesting scene to watch, him being so oblivious to how women feel, that he didn't even think that maybe his sisters could have gone through something like that.
It was a thing that was being explored.
Yeah,
in these kind of conversations. It wasn't something... Right now, all these conversations exist on all kind of platforms. At that time, they were not. They did not exist.
It's interesting. Even with all these conversations, there's still men who are like, oh, my sister's never been through anything like that, or whatever, because they don't realize that it happens to every single girl. It's like the not all men thing, they're like, oh, not all men are bad people. But all girls, every single girl has been violated in some possible way. So it's not about not all men acting bad. It's about the fact that they have to start, acknowledging the fact that just because not all men have done bad things,
A lot of men are.
a lot of men are, and
enough for all the women to
enough
get
for all the women
violated.
to get violated. So it's not like we're not, when we're talking about situations, we're not attacking men in general. You know, like the whole situation of being like people seeing feminists as people who hate men. Sometimes I say that I hate men, you know? I feel like that's a very common thing for people my age to say that. But it's because we're angry, and we have every right to be angry with the fact that when we try to tell people what has happened to us and tell men what have happened to us, it's always they try to be defensive. Be like, oh, but, you know, not all men do that, you know? Like, why? Like, they think that just because we're pointing out bad things that men have done, we think that we are attacking every single man. No, we're pointing it out and asking you to point it out too. Like,
recognize what happens and try and stop it.
Exactly. Recognize that a lot of people like you do things to people like us. And if you see that type of thing happening with one of your friends, someone you know, try to stop it and stop being freaking friends with them. You know? Because that also happens a lot.
Yeah.
Some guys being like, oh, yes, I'm a feminist, and yes, I protect women. And then their friend goes around and rapes someone. They're like, no, my friend would never do that. This girl is lying. That happens a lot. It has happened. I've seen it happen in my school.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That's awful. Okay.
Let's move on.
No, now let's move on, but let's move on because we're on the same subject of getting to Jenny, because we want to talk about, before we wrap it up, we want to wrap it up with Jenny and what has happened with her opening up her memories, her childhood memories.
She repressed some memories, and then she just
everything's,
because of the things she's working on, she remembers stuff that happened to her.
And she went and she does this really weird thing where she's stripping and she's trying to open up her memories and stuff like that. And I think that what they establish is that it looks like something happened at a carnival. Yeah. She keeps seeing herself at a carnival, and there's all kinds of carnival imagery. And
it was like she was being hunted or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, you don't really understand what exactly happens, but it's very obvious there's something that there were boys who were doing something to her when she was very young at a carnival. That's what you understand. Yeah. Yeah.
And what did you think about the whole, like, her handling of it?
Not healthy to herself, but I guess, I don't know. I can't even imagine, having such a strong repressed memory come up, and you start remembering it, and then, you really want to know what happened, so she tried to find every single way she could to remember what happened. And then when she does remember, she's like just broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's an opportunity to say once more that you shouldn't try to go through everything alone.
Exactly.
Jenny, like the first season, everything she went through, she didn't talk to anybody about it.
No.
She didn't get help. So she ended up being very illusion about Marina and stuff because she hadn't talked to anybody. Now, of course, it's about herself, but since she didn't realize that she needed, like, she was getting super fucked up in the head.
Yeah,
she could have gotten therapy or something, or opened up to someone. I mean, she opened up to Shane. She said, I'm getting these memories and I'm trying to deal with it. But that was it.
She didn't really explain that she didn't really, like, open up to Shane about what she was feeling and what she didn't have to say exactly what the memory was, but, like, tell Shane, like, that she's going through something. Yeah. And, like, or tell someone that she is really upset and that something bad is happening to her, because,
she should have had professional help to get her through those memories starting to open up. That's what I like. The cautionary tale of Jenny is get professional help before you start cutting yourself. Seriously. And I'm not making a joke. I'm seriously. What she did was to try to what cutters do. They try to feel the physical pain to cover up the psychological pain and all that kind of stuff. And it's like she's doing that because she was psychologically in distress.
And about what you were saying, like, she wasn't just, like, physically cutting herself. She was also kind of emotionally cutting herself open and seeing different parts of her. So I feel like when you do that, you kind of need help for that.
Yeah.
To not, like, get drained and end up
hurting yourself too much. Yeah, I think that's something that can be learned is like, don't do that. Don't be like Jenny.
Yeah.
Please talk to people. Get yourself some help when you think you're in emotional distress, because you can really, really go down a spiral, downward spiral into darkness that is not somewhere you want to go. Actually, it's not bad to go into darkness and learn about yourself and have the memories come up.
But you can't do that by yourself.
You can't do it you shouldn't do it by yourself, and you also need to the healing, of course, it starts with feeling the bad things because you have the bad memories and lots of uncomfortable feelings. However, if you don't get support for it, it can be worse instead of better. Like you can, not go upwards again. Like she needs to go through healing. Yeah. And she needs healing from all these memories, And it's not like, oh, don't get memories. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's like, of course, your memories are going to happen. You're going to go through some stuff and have help. Have a support system.
It's also not don't feel sad.
Yeah.
Like, you should feel sad sometimes, and you should, like, allow yourself to have feelings, but don't go through them by yourself, and don't, like, put all this weight on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we got out of the L Word Season 2. The L Word Season 2.
Yeah. It was a very cool season. I feel it was very interesting.
Yeah.
To see all of those stories. Yeah, I very much enjoyed
all those stories unfolded. We're moving on to Season 3. This has been ABCX&Z. I am Kim.
I'm Nina.
And let's finish up with our tagline.
All right. No, sexuality is fluid. Whether you're gay or you're straight or you're bisexual, you just go with the flow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shane. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. See you next time.